go, ladies and gentlemen. It's the final day of the yellow group, and we're down to the most important matches, which means it must be prime time here on the main stage. It's the battle of the two European teams. One, well, they've had a weekend they probably want to forget. The other, still fighting for their life to secure a top 2 spot in the yellow group. On one side, the squad playing for pride up against their European brethren. It is Millenium. Absolutely, absolutely. But on the other side of the stage, the team who has fought for every map they can get this weekend, and they still had a chance to get a top 2 placing to join the only other European team twice so far in the CWL Pro League at the Stage 1 playoffs. It is Epsilon. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that this is where it all goes down. The main stage in the MLG arena. It's prime time.
More on the line than ever. It isn't necessarily just about the prize money. You're fighting for that spot at the Global LAN League.
You wish everyone could be involved, but realistically, only the 16 best in the world can be.
Congrats to all these guys earning that invite.
These, for me, are the right teams in the league.
Evil Geniuses will have the final qualification position in the CWL Global Pro League.
The best in the world are here to compete on North American soil.
This is big. The Global Pro League is on the line.
The LAN League is pretty much everything. That's going to be the season for everyone.
This is what we've been working for.
Every year there's always been one thing to play for, but now the LAN League is everything this year, to be honest.
If we don't make the LAN League, it's like, dude, what are we doing?
United will enter as the top seed in their group.
The boys on Luminosity are headed to the Pro League.
And Millenium will get their chance to go to Ohio.
Epsilon sneak in with the final spot out of Europe.
The gunless gets cleaned up all 3.
He's gonna put it in for a 3-point play, and this is it, Jack.
Welcome back. It is prime time, and now we have our EU battle. Last time around, it went in favor of Epsilon. Millenium trying to play spoiler as they match up in the rematch. Epsilon must win this if they want a chance of moving on to the $500,000 playoffs here in Stage 1. Joining me at the desk to talk about this upcoming matchup, we got TP Chance as well as our Rise Pro player, Felony, for the weekend. And guys, we got to talk about this because coming in, we're looking at the map count. 60% win rate right now for Luminosity. Epsilon, they're at 50%. If they 3-0, they can improve up to about 56%. So they really need to give themselves a good chance here and hope that we see Luminosity struggle against eUnited later in the day. If you start losing maps here to Millenium, your chances are dropping lower and lower with each loss, team.
Yeah, especially we have to note that Epsilon got a couple of maps versus eUnited earlier. LG will face them in the last match of the day, but you're right, Chris. Basically, every map matters. They have to get that 3-0, especially after LG just 3-0'd them pretty handily. So, it's going to be very important stuff. Every map matters. Epsilon needs to go clutch.
And as we take a look at the best-of-5 series here, guys, we are looking at the maps here and talking about what could be a spoiler in map number 2. Breakout Search and Destroy is the newest of the game modes played at the professional level. And we've already seen that Epsilon admitted to not practicing this a whole lot. I wonder how prepared is Millenium going to be coming into this search? They just took LG to around 11.
I mean, either way, that's just a huge window anyway. Like, you know a team's coming in unprepared. That can give you that little boost of confidence that team definitely needs to try and make any sort of life into their tournament run so far. So they're looking for anything they can get. That just might be the door.
My team personally, we have scrim Millenium on S&D Breakout prior to this event, so I know that they have some practice. If I was Epsilon, I would have rewatched that last S&D that they lost against United, and I would have taken some key notes from that to try to improve going into this, and hopefully take away the 3-0 so it can make today interesting.
And Epsilon, if they learned anything from their first series, they have to close out strong because they opened up hot against United, our #1 seed this week, and they went up 2-0 in that series, ended up getting reverse sweep. So you can't lay off the gas pedal even if you go up 2-0. You have to finish strong in Uplink, something they couldn't do against United. And in a game mode that is Millenium's best so far, out of their 3 wins, 2 of them came in Uplink.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I want to note on Epsilon as well, the communication was on fire the first couple of maps in their first series, then it sort of dropped off. We had to listen in with them, and Josh was literally asking his teammates for information. That shouldn't be happening. That breakdown of communication when things are going poorly, that's when the opposite should happen. That's when things should pick up, when you need to give more information to your teammates to have some sort of success. We'll see how they bounce back.
Chance, we got 15 seconds.
On that note, the first time they played, Epsilon absolutely brought the fire. All the words coming out of Josh were nuts, the communication on point. So at least the first time they had the EU battle, they pulled it off pretty well.
1-sentence prediction, starting with you, Felony. How does this one play out?
Epsilon 3-0, make today interesting.
Chance?
Epsilon 3-1.
Epsilon 3-0.
3-0. He's saying they're going to drop a map. Which one is it, Chance?
Oh, the one they lose.
All right, search and destroy it is. We'll see how this one plays out. We got our casters ready. Maven, Mr. X, take it away, guys.
All right, let me explain this in the most basic way that I can. You heard 3-0, 3-1 a lot for this. If Epsilon 3-0, that means LG has to be E United to get the #2 spot. They cannot lose by any kind of map count. They'll be out on percentages if Epsilon 3-0s. If Epsilon were to 3-1, and E United beat LG 3-1, they are tied in overall map count at 13 and 11. They're tied 1-1 in head-to-head. We'd be going to another best-of-5 to decide who gets into the $500,000 playoff. That's what I want.
I want to see that. I want to see that. Screw like Game 5, Round 11. I want to see a playoff. I can think, what was the, we had one playoff at COD Champs. It was a 3-way tie. I believe it was Merc and Envy to get into bracket play a few years ago, and that was epic to watch. It was like a 1-map S&D. This would be a best-of-5 series, though, between those two teams, if they do tie. But Epsilon starting off nice here. You see they get a few kills, jump onside the hard point, but quickly taken out.
And not to promote myself, but I did tweet out the same thing I just said. So if you look at @Maven on Twitter and want to read
which is a direct promotion.
Hey, I just want to say there's a breakdown of how it works. You can go to my Twitter, you can say hi, and be like, God, man, you're a mathematical wizard.
Yep, just taking that information for League Ops and just stealing it.
Well, I did that by myself.
Yep.
I did that by myself, but Dave right now starting out 3-0. 3-0 is what they want here desperately against Millenium. They were able to do it the first time through, but you know, we talk about just the, not animosity maybe, but there's a bit of rivalry here between these two teams. So you know Millenium, even though they're out of it, they're gonna come, they're gonna try and beat Epsilon and knock them out of this thing.
And I think Millenium, obviously you just don't want to get goosed on the weekend. I mean, you haven't won a match yet. You don't want to be the one team through 3 weeks who comes in and didn't even win a game. I mean, for all the flack we give Aches and Cloud9, they won a game. I mean, at least they did that. I mean, this is a Millenium team that came in, a lot of practice, really looking to impress.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Let's talk trash on the guy driving the Codcaster right now. He's just gonna go to dead body after dead body.
The third person, there we go.
Oh, God. Aches, we love you, buddy. All right, Dave, inside a barn. You see on X-Ray a few players pushing forward. He's got Vortex looking over on the barrel in the opposite corner. Epsilon starting to grow this lead a little bit. Dave gets vision on 2 coming through the back. Should be an easy kill for him. No, Moose just devours him there, but Vortex and Josh pick up the scrap.
Yep, it's going to be an easy hold here for Epsilon. You see Josh going to pick up one more kill inside of the hard point. He has played well today. He came in a big question mark. Him or Marky B in this series, those are the 2 X factors. Josh has played phenomenal throughout this second day.
He had one bad map, but then outside of that, he was brilliant versus United. Yeah. You got to talk about it. Like, some guys put up big stats against teams maybe they should. It's when you're putting up against those stats against a team like United that's really impressive.
It's prime time. I mean, it's like in the NBA, right? It's easy to score like 20 points in the regular season. Like, you get into the playoffs, like, it gets a little bit tougher. Like, those big matches, you need to be able to put up those numbers, and Josh has shown up for them in a big way today. You see Bike Path going to be contested here. It's going to be in favor of Millenium right now. You see 2 players on the minimap for Epsilon inside, just contesting right now. Dave doing a good job not letting Millenium build up any time. Comes right around the corner, able to take out Moose there. Vortex able to take 2. this should be a break for Epsilon, and more importantly, maybe they flip the map. So now they have spawns for the next hardpoint.
And another important thing through that stretch is Vortex does get streaked out. So he's got Trinity and Bombardment down the stretch. That can be key at Statue, on rotation, used at Bike. It's very versatile on throwback with how open this map is, especially at funneling players together and making a play. Let's watch PD now for the moment, see if he can go big for Millenium. His teammate Nolson finds Vortex in front of him. Now you see they're spawning blue right now is Epsilon. It's going to be PD trying to hold here behind Statue, but Vortex says, screw it, it's time. I want to make hell rain from the sky and pick them off in the back. Doesn't connect with anything outside of Nolson, but will that be what they need? The answer is yes. They've gotten the break. They've got control from blue.
Yep, it's just Marky B for Millenium coming over the top. Not going to be able to pick up any kills. Dave in the kill feed with 2. As he's now starting to work on streaks. Just 3 to his name. He's been very impressive this weekend. I know, talking with Nameless a little bit. After their last series, I know going over that play that he made with Camo, he's like, Dave is a beast.
He is. And that's what, like, I think kind of separates a truly elite player versus a very good player. I mean, we've seen Dave have flashes of brilliance, right, where he is just beaming people. But he's had some really, really poor maps as well. On the other side, like, Octane, like, did you see him miss a bullet last series or really this weekend? Like,
Octane's been sick.
He's been spectacular, man. I was talking to him before the interviews, ask him how he does it. It's like a joke on his team. The guy just doesn't miss.
And you see right now Epsilon in the lead going into the second rotation of hardpoints. And you look, I mean, Hockey, 4-11. I feel like every time this team cannot get away from either Hockey or Vortex having a poor game. And Nolson there was on a little bit of a streak. He finally falls. We'll have to check if he got any score streaks during that.
Yeah, I think he got up to a 5 streak right before dropping. He just got the Scarab, so nothing too powerful to work with, but maybe an entry Scarab to get into Barn could be useful down the stretch. But so far, the game has been very back and forth, Matt. Millenium trailing by just under 20 points right now. Josh inside a window will get pushed by Moose. As Moose, man, he just continues to be so good. 5 in a row now at 12 and 10. He's the Slayer they'd needed to be all year. And you wonder if, you know, I'm not trying to predict the future or talk anything down on this Millenium team because I love watching him play, but with how good Moose has been, how long is it till he gets picked up to maybe a different roster? Is that something that's feasible?
Yeah, I mean, you got to question it, right? I mean, I'm sure Fnatic could use a player like Moose on a 7 streak right now. Millenium has brought this game back, and, you know, they have not won a hardpoint so far this weekend, so it'd be a big game 1 win. It would actually put a ton of pressure on Epsilon going the rest of the way in this series.
Oh God, you're about to get full streaks for 2 players too. Moose is going off, PD now at 6 in a row. What is happening? Hockey, buddy, if you can hear me, you've got to get it going. You're 6 and 15 right now and getting absolutely thrashed by Millenium. And we're talking about their need to 3-0, 3-1. So we're clear, if they lose this series, I mean, they're toast. There's not a whole lot they can do. Oh God, man, they need to pick it up, and they need to pick it up right now.
Yeah, you're gonna need everybody to put forward a good effort. I mean, Epsilon has really gotten here off of the back of Dave. I mean, he has played lights out throughout this weekend, but they're going to need everybody to show up in their final series. See Nolson able to take Hockey out there with some nice shots with the NV4. It's going to go down into Bike Path. 2 members for Epsilon, you see it on the minimap. They're playing for those next spawns, but they're going to get taken out, go down to Bike Path, and now you see the streaks coming in from Moose.
So Moose got streaks. Can we check on PD real quick? What did he get? Okay, so he got the Trinity Rocket. All right, wasn't sure what all came through, but you see Moose make a difference with his score streak. PD now inside. Oh God, they're investing a lot right here. They're trying to bury Epsilon. I don't know. How do you feel about this? Using 2 of these streaks when you already have the lead? Is it really needed right now?
I mean, maybe you think you use these streaks, you're able to take a ton of time here. You start to force Epsilon to maybe kind of funnel 1 by 1 at the next hard point. But you do still have, I guess, the bombardment of Moose. If it does kind of get dicey down.
Oh, you have the Trinity. The
Trinity, okay. So
and I think Vortex on the other side still has 1 streak to work with, unless he does have the bombardment. So you've got a streak on either side here. Millenium has now turned this game around in a big way. They were down 20 or so points. They've now taken a 50-point advantage. That's nice shots by Dave. But
if Millenium loses this, I cannot look at them on the stage again. I mean, every time we go to them, it just seems like Moose is just so crushed. I mean, he has played so good throughout the weekend. They just have not been able to convert into wins. I mean, every time we go to him, I mean, the poor guy, he's got his hands on his head. And see Moose now with Camo, getting inside of the hard point, able to get 1 quickly taken out by Vortex. So Epsilon trying to hold on to baseball here, and it's going to be Vortex picking up 2 big kills. Now he's on a 4 streak.
Yeah, and he still has a bombardment. He's about to pick up the Trinity Rocket again, but it's Moose calling streaks right off the break. I like that. He uses the camo. It wasn't enough to bust through. He says, screw it. I'm using the Trinity Rocket as well, but you got to win it here. You can't let Dave just hold this off by himself. He damages a couple. You get a close spawn there at mid-map for Epsilon. They're flying right back in. So what? Moose uses camo. He uses a Trinity Rocket, and after it's all said and done, they get 15 or so points.
Yeah, and Dave used camo as well for Epsilon. So both camos are gone. You had a lot of streaks being burnt there.
Everything's been burnt now for Millenium. It's only Vortex that's holding anything.
And I mean, if you're Epsilon, you're just one good barn hold away from being right back in this. You got to wonder, with how Millenium has played this weekend, we've seen them just kind of blow these games. I wonder if it's the back of there, it's just a mental thing at this point.
Yeah, I think that develops over the course of a weekend, and I still think it's just they got hit too hard and hit too early. They came in so full of confidence with all the scrims they've been doing with North American and European teams last week as they came out early, and just to get beat up like that day one, man, they did not expect it. But Vortex, how many times am I going to say he's almost going to earn his Trinity Rocket again? He's on another 5 streak. Him and Dave, hard carries right now in the slaying department. Oh God, almost beams Nolson at range with the K-bar in the back. But did he fall 1 kill short of the Trinity again?
I believe so, but look at how close Epsilon has made this game. They've taken a ton of time here on Train at the middle hill, and now it looks like they're going to set up for a barn. Millennium's going to need a really early break here.
And I just got to wonder if all those streaks that that Millenium invested for, not a lot, maybe 15 points at Bike, 15 points at Statue. It didn't really give them full control that they were able to play with. Nice play by Vortex there. But, and sitting at the end of this, after all this, you're going to still have those streaks for Vortex, but Nolson working on it. He's 33 and 18, having a monster game, one of the back at Lime. Not going to take that gunfight as he's at a disadvantage. Wants to work with his teammates up the middle.
His teammates can't pick up any kills, so he can't really trade this out. Finally, they get one. He's going to earn Trinities, but he can't push straight into the hardpoint. So many players surrounding him for Epsilon. Epsilon holding on here to Barn Maven, getting a ton of good time. It's going to be Moose coming around the back, not able to pick up another. And you hear on the stage, we can hear it here in the venue, Epsilon is starting to get loud.
That was Hockey. Remember how poor he started? He was having a horrendous game. He's now 17 and 26. He found 3 kills there in the hard point. They lose it. Who cares? There's 5 seconds left. You're not going to give much up. You've regained the lead. Nice comeback from Epsilon after it looked like Millenium could run away with the game.
Now going down the bike path, it'll be Epsilon in control here at the beginning. Millenium needs a break here. It's going to be PD with 1. The streak's coming down. Nolson team kills PD inside of the hard point. Able to take out Dave in the back, but you hear more streaks coming down. It's going to be in bombardment. Not going to be able to get anybody. Josh picks up 1. Vortex using the high wall run. Going to get 1. Trying to turn. Not able to finish off the second. But it's going to be Epsilon. They're doing a nice job, maybe. They're contesting this hard point. They're not letting Millenium get a ton of time, holding on to the good spawns here.
Yeah, keep working on that, and then you still have the bombardment when we get back to Statue. So even if somehow these spawns get flipped and Millenium gets in control, you can still break it with Vortex. Still stuff to work with. Josh making sure he holds the back with 15 seconds left. He's already rotating. His teammates picking up the kill inside. Wow, so you end up getting the final 10 seconds or so, and Josh is already set up. Plus, he has reactive.
Yep, that reactive armor may be huge for Epsilon. So we're going to go to baseball with Epsilon with a chance to come back and win this first game. We talked about the scenario they in. They need all these map wins here against Millenium. A 3-0 would be huge for their chances. Josh able to get 1. Pops the reactive, looking for more. Able to turn on a second.
What a play from Josh. Going big, trying to stay alive behind Brick. Has to bide his time as his teammates are coming in. They need 5 more points. This is the last push for Millenium. Josh keeps holding. Somehow Josh is still alive despite the fact he's slowed down. And there's the final kill. And there's the final ticks. Josh with a 5 streak to cement the win.
They win a game where Hockey goes 18 and 30. I believe Nolson goes for 40 on the other side. Millenium, they can't buy a hard point. That may be the last one we see them play this weekend. Have not won 1. They've been so close. They had a lead in that one. We've seen them just blow these hard point games time after time.
I am pretty sure that Millenium could write a book titled How to Lose Hard Points. And with the number of ways they've done it this weekend, there would be multiple pages to that very short book.
You can just see, I mean, the faces of those guys. They have practiced so much coming into this event. You know, they're here early. 10 days, they're down scrimming against the teams last week that were in the Pro League. Playing online. and they just have not been able to put it together at all.
No, they haven't. And again, there's that team every week that has close matches. They fight them tough, but they can't get it over the hump. I mean, but they are at risk of obviously not winning a map, which we haven't seen happen yet. It's
a series, not a map.
A series, sorry.
They have one map.
Yes, they have done that. But when you talk about Millenium, I mean, over the course of the year, I know more recently we've talked about Fnatic being, kind of top 3 in EU, Epsilon being in that top 2 spot. But for most of the year, I think people tend to forget that it's been this Millenium roster. Like they were the most consistent. They had a couple top 8s. They were performing very well.
And they've been a team, just in Call of Duty history that's always performed pretty well in international competition. A lot of the teams coming into this weekend, were saying that they were worried about Millenium. They heard really good things from some of the teams that played them last weekend. Maybe, Millenium, they started to hear all that talk about how good they were. Maybe they got a little bit to their head coming into this one.
Maybe.
You don't know.
Well, let's take a look at this. You see Nolson with the 40 bomb. Not enough, not involved in the objective, but he was the one slaying out around it, that's for sure. But just taking a look at the hard points, I mean, Barnes, 102 points, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was that second time on Barn, I think we were talking about it, where Epsilon had gotten the game close, and Nolson is on those streaks and doesn't want to push in, and none of his teammates are picking up kills. Epsilon gets a ton of time here and just blows the game open.
And that's one of those situations, not calling out Nolson, but maybe if he's involved in the action, pushes forward and doesn't worry about the streaks that they're able to break. But you have to play behind streaks. Everyone always does. I mean, if you're working on streaks, you have to play to try and pick them up. But yeah, it was tough to see where he was kind of just waiting for his teammates, please intro there or give me some free kills so I can get fully streaked out. But amazing game from Nolson is not enough. And for Epsilon, yeah, you survive a horrendous game from Hockey.
Yeah, I mean, for Millenium, I feel like you can just swap Nolson's name out for Moose. I feel like that's what we say after every game. Like, Moose had a great game, not enough. Nolson had a fantastic game, not enough. It's just got to be extremely frustrating for these guys. The amount of work they put in just to qualify. I mean, they've been going to all the international events, playing well there. It's a roster that's stuck together. It's just, it's got to be pretty disappointing.
Well, we'll get ready for the search and destroy here. Just a reminder, and I'll probably say it a couple times through the series. Epsilon, if they win 3-0, that means that LG has to beat United to take the number 2 spot in this group. They can't get in on any kind of loss. I don't care if it's 3-2, they cannot get in due to the map win percentage. For Epsilon, if they 3-1 here, and United were to lose 3-1 to United, they would tie 13.
United cannot lose to United.
Oh,
Luminosity.
If United beats Luminosity 3-1, Luminosity and Epsilon will be tied exactly 13-11 in overall map count. They'd be tied in head-to-head, and we'd be doing a one-off best-of-5 to decide who gets into the playoff.
I hope we see that.
Oh, I want it terribly.
I hope we see that. What's funny is,
Chris Puckett's birthday. He's just ready to go out.
That would be a Chris Puckett birthday special. It's like Chris is always wanting the Game 5 round 11. It's like, we'll one-up that. We'll give you an extra series, a tiebreaker series. A winner takes all to get into playoffs.
I want to start with Dave in this just because, we talked a lot about how bad he was in Search and Destroy through 2 days. He's been great today.
Lights out today.
He's been much, much better. I want to see what he's able to do. I glanced away for a second, and I think Ake switched, and I thought for a second he had switched to reactive armor. I was like, when did he do that? Nope. But no, he's still got camo. Okay, Dave, off the break, we'll see if he can get first blood for his team. He'll be your camo player, your bomb carrier as well, as he's trying to weasel his way up loading. Marky B, though, gets that first pick, getting aggressive with the E-Red.
And you heard Felony say it on the desk. They have played Millenium on this map. And mode combination, they said Millenium, is prepared. Epsilon, we saw them play it earlier in the day. They lose the map, but maybe they learned some things coming into this one.
I mean, they looked very good for a lot of that one until kind of the later half of that game where United took over.
Josh and Dave looked very good during that one.
Oh, that's right. They had basically all the kills. Let's see. So PD going to be laying prone and behind. Ake is able to tie things up. PD's going to give away his spot as one slides across through the spiral staircase, but it seems like Josh and Dave are stuck in a bad spot, but Dave turns this in his favor. Now going to be a 2 versus 2, just under 30 seconds on the clock, and he still has to work this bomb plant. You basically have one player from each side covering a bomb, but PD in a pretty good spot to rotate back if he needs to. As the challenge comes in, Aki able to win it, gets the headshot onto PD, now it's on Marky B. He just tries to fly out. If he gets that kill, turns into one. No, he does get it. Able to clutch up. Now, 1 versus 1, grenade over his head. He's playing sneaky, playing safe. Is he going to get challenged? No. That's going to be Hockey playing in the back. He's already got 2 kills in this round. Marky B knows he has to go. Not a lot of time to work with. Up over the top. Hockey in a nice spot there. And he gets 3 big ones to secure the first round.
That planting position there from Epsilon. The bomb's planted for Marky B. Makes it much more difficult for Hockey to win the round. He knows the bomb is planted for him. Can back up a little bit. Force Marky to come out and challenge. NV4 versus Ewer at that range should be able to win the fight.
Yeah, that was played very well by Hockey, and he made it look easy. All right, so they strike first after weathering a big early game in game 1 from Millenium, and coming back to secure that. In case you're just joining us, it was one hell of a game 1. What kind of treat do we have in store here for game 2? It was a nice start for Hockey. You see Vortex going to be playing inside of showers to cover that A bomb site. He's working here with Dave. And the pressure is going to start to come. You see the arrows coming in. You see the X-ray. There's one on the opposite side of this. Dave wants to go ahead and poke. He's got one to the edge. Does he realize there's one up close here is the question.
I don't think they really have an idea. Maybe he's trying to bait this second player out as they come in towards the site, but it's going to be Nolson challenging right away. Dave able to win that second gunfight, though, so it's traded out.
He's looking for a gun here. I was saying if he can get like a K-bar or something, maybe he could have fought Moose in the back, but Vortex said, screw it. What a timing he got. He hits the wall run, I think, as soon as Moose turns to go, so Vortex is going to have a free kill. As long as he can catch up, they are not going to be ready for this at all. There's the kill. Fantastic stuff from Vortex. Unlucky stuff for Millenium.
Millenium cannot catch a break all weekend long. See Petey with bomb in hand. Marky B up for Millenium as well. So he's going to hit this spiral stairs. Does not spot 1. Now he's going to see 2. He's able to get 1 kill. Petey also moving up towards the site. He's going to fall at the hands of Dave. Dave on a 2 streak, 3 kills with camo.
Is he going to hit the bomb? He's not going to be able to get to it. I was wondering if he had it. It's right there on the screen, and he had like 4 seconds. So nothing he could do. He got a kill.
Yep.
That was, I mean, that came down to me for, Dave traded the kill effectively, and then Vortex, I don't know if it was lucky timing or fantastic timing on his part, but as soon as Moose and them decide to wrap the bomb to B, he gets him behind.
Now we'll see if Millenium can bounce back. Now they've lost these hardpoint games in crucial, just crucial moments, bad decision making. And then I feel like it's just kind of mentally gone on them and just kind of carried over into the S&D. Now Josh trying to work over towards showers here. That's Dave right behind him in the middle map.
There, inching forward, just looking for a kill. You see there's 4 arrows just clustered up here, and the first one's going to go to Josh. It's traded out by Moose. The bomb planter should be able to get behind, but it's actually Hockey at distance there from Commissary Hardpoint that's able to find it. Now going to be 2 players left. Petey, though, within an inch of his life. Nolson, can you help me, buddy? Nolson over the top does just that. Turns it into a 2 versus 2. Hockey, though, yet to die. We'll stick with him as he's getting close to Scarab, close to Trinity as well. They're watching each other's sides. They don't expect the push from the left. Now, are they going to catch? Okay, they just rotate out. I'll say Petey, he gets there a second or 2 earlier, might have a free kill.
I wonder if that went from Epsilon. Here comes Dave. Going to go back and check the site. Does not spot the first player that comes in. You can see on your minimap, both players just circling him. They have not found him yet. Such a good play.
Such a good play. He's got it close to the camo as well. It's a 1 versus 1. There's no time to work with. Let's see if he can finish it up. It's Petey, though, with the ERAD, able to take him out, but not enough time to work with. Not enough time for Millenium in several of these rounds.
Just both those players just dancing around Dave. Just does a fantastic job. Just keeps poking out, checking the site, checking the site. Finally able to just kill the player going for the defuse. Epsilon has gone up 3 rounds to 0 against Millenium in map number 2.
And if you were watching earlier, you heard my interview with Octane. The reason he says they control their destiny is if they are able to beat United, they're good. They just have to get a W. But Epsilon can put a lot more pressure on them here, a lot more with a 3-0.
Not an easy task.
No, it's not.
Go in and beat United.
But technically, they control their destiny. You hear that a lot in like NFL playoff scenarios, right? You win out, you're good. Unfortunately, right now, you got to win out against the second best team in the world.
I mean, there's got to be a part of United that if that match comes up, and they know what's at stake, it's like, hey, we have a chance to keep LG out of the playoffs. We got to win this.
Hell yeah. Moose now Going to be by himself versus 3 players. 30 seconds on the clock. He's trying to defend. The second he pokes, it's Hockey again over the top. And I'll tell you what, Hockey had a rough game 1. He's having a hell of a search and destroy.
Yeah, he's shown up big in this series. I mean, in the last one, towards the end, it's not great. Good first 2 maps here against Millenium. No, maybe a team he feels a little bit more comfortable playing against.
Wasn't Hockey the one that struggled real bad? I thought he was the one that really was like 18.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Game 1, he was not very good.
But say, I flipped around some names, which I am very guilty of, but...
I think you were intentionally, I think you were trying to talk about Vortex in game 1.
Who knows? I like to mix you up. All right, here we go. Round 5. Epsilon up 4-0, working their way towards a 3-0 sweep. If they keep playing like this, they'll have bomb in hand. Wrapping top side versus the B site, getting set up engraved. They want to get the Scarab out, see what information they can get for the Millenium positions, and then attack around that. But you actually see it's kind of a 2-pronged attack. They're using the Scarab to spot at B, and then they have 2 players down at Showers. Vortex has one right to his right. If he drops, can they trade it out? Perfect job by Marky B. Now, can he get away before he gets tagged in the back? He can't. So great duo work there from Epsilon to at least make sure you trade the kill. Vortex almost...
How aggressive he is.
Finds the second. He's flying right now. Absolutely flying. And now he's going to go over the top. Petey's not ready at all. Not ready at all for this push. Okay, where did you just go?
He flew a little bit too high there. He was like, it's like a car out of control. You saw him like in the middle of the map, he's just darting at people, then he's hitting the wall run.
He forgot he had a jetpack. I don't know.
It's almost impossible to forget you have one.
It is. That's what got him on the wall run in the first place.
Use it quite often.
And that probably happens partially just due to the fact that this map hasn't been played as much, so maybe just not knowing exactly what angle you can hit over the top. I'm trying to find excuses for him.
He flew off the side of the map. You can clearly see there's a rock and a fence there. There's no excuse to go over the side of it.
Maybe he thought he could sit on top of the fence.
Oh, that would be a hell of a move.
Yeah.
Off the wall run, lands on top of the fence.
Yeah, wall bounces off of it, right? Dave will have camo here, so not carrying. Oh, God, there's 2 just shut down. Nice shots by Dave. It's now on Nolson to try and clutch up. Yeah, if he finishes that kill, maybe he gives himself a chance. He does. Can he get away into the corner? Goes vertical. Somehow he drops there. God, that almost catches Josh off guard, I think. But they're able to take the round.
1 round away is Epsilon from going up 2-0 in the series. Looks like this team has no signs of slowing down. As they have camo now. Think they use it here. Secure a round win. Put that second map away.
It's tough. You can see Millenium. There's just a... I mean, are they playing bad? No, they play great in game 1, but there's just a lack of... They look deflated, right? Just a lack of energy, kind of. It's got to be tough right now. You know you're going to relegation. You're trying to muster it up here. You want to beat Epsilon.
It's just like a clutch factor. I feel like every time where they've needed to make a play, like they just have not come up with one. Or the big kills have always gone in the other team's favor.
Dave with a chance to put this one away if he can make a play with camo, but you can see it's a 4-man hit through mid and flank from Millenium. Well, the heads of Epsilon turn in time for this. They're setting up for the backside, so this should work out brilliantly for Epsilon. They even have 1 player up close and personal. Marky B actually, I guess, saw him cross. He's able to pick up that kill, but 2 go the way of Epsilon. PD and Marky B trying to catch. Here's the FDL jump in from behind. We wanted to see what the 3rd person would look like. He gets there, but unfortunately he runs into bullets. And Epsilon now 2-0. So Luminosity, sitting in the Pro Lounge. They're wondering, God, if Millenium, can you please take 1 map? Because it gives us just slightly better odds in this scenario.
The way that team's looking right now.
I can't look at this shot.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, just knowing how much, what sucks is just knowing how much they care and how much time they put in. And it just has not paid off for Millenium right now.
Well, as casters, you don't exactly root for people, but you root for the good guys, right? The ones that that are passionate, put in all the effort, grind day in and day out to try and be the best they can. So this Millenium squad, yeah, we're fans. We want them to do well. It's been a tough struggle to see how this weekend has played out. But on the other side, for Europe, you've had Epsilon playing very, very well. They are still in a spot here to possibly take top 2 and get to the playoffs. We'll see if they can close it out in the Uplink. Your G Fuel key player matchup for Millenium versus Epsilon will be Moose versus Hockey. Talk to me about these two players, Matt.
It's quite odd. Take a look at these stats and how similar they are. You talked about, Hawkeye's struggles at times, and Moose, we've seen him have huge games, but you see the stats, very similar. Hardpoint, obviously, Moose has the advantage, but both the other game modes, dead even.
I'm actually shocked to see this. It's a great matchup to show how close they are despite how brilliant Moose has been at times. It's Moose, it's Hockey, and that is your G Fuel key player matchup. Epsilon looking to set up what could be one of the best of fives we've had throughout the CWL, GPL. If they take this 3-0, it is one best of five. Luminosity, E-United. Luminosity wins, they're in. Luminosity loses, Epsilon is in. But hey, don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Epsilon still has to close this series out.
Yeah, still need to win an uplink against Millenium. That is the one game mode I believe they've actually been able to win maps in so far this weekend. So Epsilon cannot let their foot off the gas. They need to take Millenium out in this game 3.
And you know that Epsilon, I hope, before they went into the series, they knew what's at stake. So you got to think,
they would.
They don't let off of this, and they are just trying to bury Millenium. They know Millenium are down on themselves already. As much as it sucks, you just have to put the knife to the throat and end this thing. They need the 3-0.
It's quite violent.
Yeah, that was. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, it's pretty violent of you.
Yeah, I'm a lover.
If there's a map that Millenium would like to play spoiler in, really kind of, give it to their European counterpart, this would be it. I mean, you thought they could have done it in game 1, get their first hardpoint on the board. They were so close. They end up losing it. The S&D, not that close. But this uplink, this is the one where Millenium can potentially, strike back.
I just don't think Epsilon is that worried about Millenium. I mean, they 3-0 them the first time. They haven't had any trouble with them, but maybe that's where it could become scary. Frost uplink is not the map. It is Precinct. And with the interesting stat about these two teams this weekend, they're both 100% win rate.
Really?
So here we go. Here we go. We're on Josh. Third person, you see his jetpacks fueling. He's wiggling. He's ready to rock. E-Rat in hand.
100% win rate in Precinct?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say
What did I say?
Yeah, you said just 100% win rate.
Oh, I thought I said
really
Precinct.
Give me specifics.
Well then.
Because I was doing the math, I was like, how could Epsilon have 3-0'd them and Millenium be 100%?
No. I thought I led.
I just had to clarify.
I thought I led with the Precinct, into with the 100%, but hey, sometimes I speak in foreign language.
You're a brilliant analyst.
I am.
Let me tell you.
Do what I can.
Just lots of detail out of you.
Yes, that is what you'll get from me. But it is Vortex with drone. Early on, 2 players this side. No, I should probably not go that way. My teammates are dying. I'm still going to go that way. Okay. And that's Marky B getting the kill. Thought maybe they're going to wrap it back. So they were waiting on Dave to try and pick up the kill. The timing a little bit off for Epsilon.
But it's a good first offensive attempt. Within the first 30 seconds, Epsilon has the potential to put points on the board there. Now we're going to go with Millenium. Marky B able to get one. Not going to be able to pick up a second. The drone is down. Millenium just trying to throw it forward, trying to slay out here. But Dave picks up some big kills. Petey able to stay alive through a lot of gunfire. The kill's just being traded. And now Moose, he needs to go make a play for the drone. It gets reset.
It's reset, but is right into the arms of Marky B. They'll be down a man as Moose gets taken out. Marky B also will fall. So this is going to be a slow build now for Epsilon. Petey finds the first. Nolson picked off from Statue. That's a nice kill from Hockey to pick him out of a power position. Petey, though, won't let them get forward. They're still trying to make a play. Drone back to mid-map. It'll be Dave that's going to go collect that. Dave is, I believe he was #1, I think, at least a couple series ago. He's #1 overall in uplink scores. So he's been really good at getting the drone through the goal, working towards that camo more and more. Not shocked to hear that stat from one of your camo guys.
He's been extremely good in every facet of the game throughout this weekend. His S&D was struggling up until today, but today he's put up some big numbers in all their S&D games when it matters. Now you see Moose and Co. trying to wrap drone all the way through construction, trying to go Cherry Blossom with it.
And last time they tried this, they basically ran into a brick wall. That is the Epsilon defense. Unfortunately, that's a gas tank to the face for Hockey there as he will drop. Dave's here to back it up. They keep them pinched back at Cherry Blossom. Won't let them get anywhere. I don't know that this is the proper route right now for Millenium. Every time they try to push out, they're just getting mollywopped the second they get out to the edge. Not going well.
Nope, there's one more player behind. That was Petey, just trying to make a play for the drone. Marky B coming through the middle of the map. It's a really odd uplink game thus far. Marky is going to pick up a second. He has like no idea where these players are coming from right now. I mean, they could be spawning anywhere. I mean, you see players spawning top security, players now coming from construction. He's going to get pinched, and now the drone going to go back to mid-map. So both teams outside of that first push from Epsilon, not a lot of offense.
Well, yeah, I mean, 90% of the game sometimes is spent by statue, right? I feel like 90% of the game has been a gas and Cherry Blossom so far. It's been a little bit odd to start things off. But with 2 minutes to go in the first half, no one's been able to strike first. Millenium still trying to play spoiler here. If they can take a map off of Epsilon. We're watching Josh right now, a leader for this Epsilon team, the newcomer as well, who's provided a lot for them this weekend. A melee about to come in. Ooh, just a little bit short.
And Millenium playing on the preferred side of the two. So this is a side where we usually see more points put on the board from. Moose up top, trying to lead charge. This could be points for Millenium. Moose able to pick up a second one. Moose currently on a 5 streak, doing an excellent job locking down the back alley. There is points for Millenium, fully streaked out for Moose.
Uh-oh. Now things start to get a little bit scary. You got the streaks, you got points on the board. Some plays you can make for Millenium. You still have time to get something through for Epsilon. Just taking a look at the minimap at lobby. Marky B is waiting. Dave, though, able to pick him up. Now the pressure slowly building forward again for Epsilon. They get that first pick on Nolson on statue. There's a couple more in from behind. Josh has drone in hand, needs to toss his forward and get gun up. Can he finish one more kill? Able to do so, but he needs some help. There's just 2 of them here. It's Josh and Dave trying to do all the work, and Marky B just guns both of them.
Yeah, Marky picks up a big 2-piece there to hold serve on the defensive end. Now, maybe that's a 1-point play at best for Epsilon. Moose will throw the drone down. Seems like Millenium content with just holding this statue area. Now they should pick up the drone. As soon as they get 2'd in, now they're going to start to push up.
But here we go. They want to get more points on the board. You have a 1-point throw if you want it. He wants to. Gets cut down. The greedy play may end up costing them. That's a guaranteed 1 if you go ahead and toss it. But it's the spawn at gas and cutting back mid-street from Epsilon. It's able to shoot them in the back. Spawn ends up very favorable for Epsilon in that position. 20 seconds to go on the clock. 3 down for Epsilon. Drone still in a dangerous position. Still a chance to make a play. The Trinity rocket actually comes in and finds the last player. So they're able to get 1. They turn garbage into a point, really. Everything seemed to fall apart, but they're still able to score.
Yeah, and with 8 seconds left, it was actually Epsilon in the middle of the map trying to get drone out. Moose with 2 more kills. Moose has been so impressive through the first half. Millenium will take a lead going into halftime.
Yeah, Moose is shredding. What does he have, 18, 19 kills through the first half?
I think it's 19 he finished.
Yeah, I don't know how many times we could talk about this guy, but he has been so good in the role he serves on this team, which is finding kills, getting streaks, making plays. He's been a real treat this weekend.
We'll see if Epsilon can complete the 3-0, get some points on the board here in the second half. Now Moose only with that bombardment left. And now Epsilon goes on the side where usually you can put up some more points on it. It's going to be Hockey getting first blood. Josh with another. The drone in the hands of Vortex. That's going to be 3 kills for Epsilon. They try and pass it forward, but the player's going to be taken out. A 2-point play in the first 30 seconds here for Epsilon.
I mean, I think you feel pretty good about the last 60 seconds of gameplay. You make Moose use a Trinity rocket just to get 1 point through, which could stop maybe a 2-point play down the road, and now no longer here. Nolson, who just dropped 40 in game 1, has 4.
I've never seen like a swing like that. Like in a respawn, like usually like respawn is like kind of, obviously Uplink and Hardpoint play vastly different.
They start playing with his feet. I don't know. I mean, after having a game 1 like that, you think he's on point.
And Moose calls in the bombardment here. Narrowly, PD just dodges it. And Moose is going to pick up another.
Look at Moose with 24, and he has 4 right above him.
This will be a 2-point play. It's Moose on a 5 streak, and I believe PD on a 4 streak right now. Marky on a 4 streak, but.
God, you have a good first half start for Epsilon, and now everybody just slaughtering. You have Camo for Moose. He's probably had it for quite some time with the game he's having. Another dunk, 7-2 for Millenium. Luminosity fans and Luminosity, the players, I'm sure, getting hyped right now behind this Millenium team with what's on the line. Nolson able to get the drone, get away with his life. A moment ago, we said he had 4. He doubled that up in approximately 30 seconds, so he certainly started to get it going. Tries to challenge one more, but we're going to switch focus over to Marky B, who has overdrive in hand. We'll try to get him drone in a nice spot to make a play. Matt, what's going on right now? Is this just Millenium being a solid uplink team, or is Epsilon throwing this away?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some good plays from Millenium in uplink throughout the weekend. They're doing a fantastic job. You know, Marky B and Moose specifically in the slaying department. But here's the score opportunity for Epsilon. Millenium does have the streaks. They settle for 1. And Millenium actually does not invest a streak on the defensive end there. So it's a good play from Millenium. You still hold on those streaks in case it gets dangerous.
Well, Nolson, who had been struggling, just absolutely goes vertical and burns Vortex there at mid. Okay, so let's take a look. Dave is a kill or so away from picking up his camo. Marky B still has overdrive on the other side. But, I mean, God, this is one of those games again where Dave seems to be the only one slaying.
It's rough for Epsilon. You're not going to be able to kind of get by with just him showing up in the respawn game modes. You need Hawky, you need Vortex, you need Josh. One of those other guys needs to step up and join him. Dave picks up 2. There's nobody else there to pick up any kills.
Well, Marky B's just holding the back here with PD, just making sure they keep them pinned at statue. If you can't push out past this point, you can't get any points on the board. It's been, you know, just solid, basically continued defense from Epsilon over and over and over again. Now you have 4 down. You have overdrive for Marky B. Likely try to get it in his hands. No, they're going to let Nolson just take this. Players coming off a spawn. There's the 1-pointer. It's up. It's away. It's short. He's going to miss that and get taken out. 3 kills go the way of Epsilon. Now maybe you have a chance to make a play. Dave's got this camo.
Yeah, they do have camo on the side of Millenium. They do not have camo. You saw PD in that last life. You know, he goes in that 7 streak. Uses reactive armor there.
That 1-point miss could be big because the difference between having a 4-point lead and a 5-point lead, I mean, 2 dunks closes it.
I mean, Epsilon just needs to find the kills right now. It's really it. They just have not been able to string together kills here against Millenium.
They want to wrap it. They want to, they want to get inside him. Sorry, their streak's actually raining in. PD able to get 1. Can they find some kills mid-streak? Josh actually gets 2. This is time for the dunk. You have the camo, pops this. So you got a guaranteed 1 here, and he's going to be able to pick up the kill, Shirley, on the right side. All right, so you got control. Somebody needs to get back.
Have the spawn trap, too.
Vortex is back to get the drone. You got 60 seconds left. I would love to be with the Luminosity team right now as they're watching this come down to the wire. 1 minute, drone pressure coming.
Yes, streaks.
Dave has streaks, and he's just, oh God, so close to winning that gunfight. Do you think about bringing the Trinity there? I guess they're so close they could get in a ticket.
There's nobody else alive. I think he can't really use the Trinity there. Now he's going to use the Trinity off of spawn. He's going to get 1. Marky B, inside drone spawn, does have overdrive.
Maybe run away with this, like run. I don't know. I mean,
only 25 seconds left.
You get a 1-point play and you bury the game, right? Here it is. He's going through. Everybody's down. There's the 1-pointer you needed to cement this. Now you would need a miracle in these next 15 seconds, but it looks like Millenium has done it. They've taken the map they needed to give Luminosity a little bit of breathing room in this, and maybe set up a scenario in which we have a 1 best-of-5 played between Epsilon and LG.
Yeah, and we can just take a look at the scoreboard. Nolson with 13, but look at everybody else for the side of Millenium. 30+ for PD, Marky B, and Moose. On the other side of things, though, it was really just Dave for Epsilon that was able to do anything in the slaying department.
Yeah, he's pinned in that corner there. He gets the Trinity. I mean, he's 1 bullet away from winning that gunfight. Maybe he gets that. They have another chance to rally, but both teams have been solid on that this weekend. Millenium's best game mode has been their uplink. They continue to show why they can compete against the best in that particular game mode. But now we're headed to a hard point. We'll see if Epsilon can close it out here.
Well, Millenium has not won a hard point yet. They kind of go up and they kind of figure out a way to lose these games. What is the scenario? Just remind everybody, if Epsilon wins this series 3-1.
If they win 3-1 and E United beat EG 3-1, LG and Epsilon are tied 13-11 in map count. They're tied in head-to-head. They would play 1 best-of-5 to decide who gets second place.
So Epsilon needs a win here in game 4.
I mean, that if they were able to get the 3-0 there, if they won that, they closed the series out 3-0, Luminosity would have had to win. Now they're not in that scenario. Now they can technically take a loss to E United and still have a chance to fight for that second spot. LG, of course, have always been in the position if they beat United, they're fine. So there's a lot of pressure on the final match regardless.
If you go, if you're in that final match with LG, I mean, you just kind of throw out every other situation in your head and just focus on winning that match. You see Dave here, 29 kills, 3 scores for Epsilon. But man, PD on the other side of things, 36 kills, 6 scores. Just a sick game from him.
Luminosity needs to pat PD on the back for that performance because he's taken some flack throughout the course of the weekend for his play, and he just has a monster game to take that map from Epsilon. Now I wonder, Epsilon knows they let that 3-0 slip away. They know what's on the line. The pressure is, I mean, there's been pressure on every map for Epsilon, obviously, but I got to feel there's a lot more on this hardpoint now that you let that go in Uplink.
Without a doubt. I mean, it would be very disappointing, for everything good that they've done to let Millenium, who hasn't won a game here this weekend, a series here this weekend, to kind of play spoiler to you. That would be a tough pill to swallow. Especially, your European brethren comes in, they haven't won a game. You go up 2-0, and they come back and upset you.
That's one of the more impressive map wins of the weekend, just from the standpoint that, Millenium, they know they're out of it, right? They don't have so much to play for outside of being spoiler, and they come in and beat them like that. PD goes off in that fashion. Impressive win, and they've had some impressive map wins throughout. They have not been able to take a series.
It's a group of veterans. You don't expect them to kind of nail it in.
Yeah.
No, these guys are going to just play their hearts out until it's finally over. They'll bounce back after this. I think this Millenium team, they'll go back. They'll put some more time in.
Moose needs a nap, apparently.
Yeah, Moose looked kind of dumb. I mean, to be fair, he's played very well this weekend. He deserves a nap.
Yeah,
there's one of those guys that deserves a nap. It's definitely Moose.
He's tired and his back is sore, right? He is. Yeah, I was actually surprised. When we looked at the one matchup between him and Hockey, how similar
their stats are similar, right?
I know it was a little bit higher in hardpoint for Moose, but I guess Hockey's just been kind of sneakily consistent throughout this weekend, where maybe I guess Moose has been more up and down. Because
high and lows.
I feel like I can think of like 5 maps where Moose just utterly destroyed. Maybe I'm just not picturing the ones where he really struggles. But yeah, their KDs throughout the modes were a hell of a lot more similar than I expected.
Yeah. I mean, Hockey, we kind of got on him for, not having some of the best of games, but you look at his, overall performance on the weekend. It's been very similar to Moose's, who he's given a lot of props to.
Yeah, no, I was truly shocked to see how close they were. All right, breakout hardpoint is going to be it. Now, this is a map we've seen very close games for both these teams, but most recently the one that stands out is Epsilon just smashing E United. What, 250 to 88 or something like that, I think it was. Like, just completely crushing them. They'll be looking to do the same here against Millenium.
If that Epsilon is the one that shows up here in game number 4, you can put this one in the books. But Millenium looking to continue that strong play after a good uplink. PD, Moose, and Marky B showed up in a huge way in that game 3. See if those guys can carry it over here to Hardpoint.
All right, well, PD, so good and so dead. As soon as we talk about him, over to Dave then on the other side of things. Points racking in for Epsilon as soon as they get somebody back into the hard point. For now, it's going to be Dave. Both players on both sides have been loading. The pinch comes through. Vortex there to trade out the kill for the time being. The gunfights have been so fast and furious here inside of loading that you haven't got any time. There we go. So 15 seconds or so go by with no ticks going the way of either team. 3 down for Epsilon leads to Millenium control here at mid-map. And look at this, over the top of the mini-map, you see 4 running all the way back to Hangar. Wants to get the spawn set up, isn't so concerned with what's going on at the middle of the map. He's set up in a prime position here once we rotate over to cell block.
The players on Millenium probably do not know Dave is all the way back in this position. You see PD. He's going to try and go back and control these spawns for Millenium. And he's got a huge kill if Dave picks it up.
Yeah, Dave's going to be like, surprise! Oh, look how close they are. And there's the surprise. Dave in the back, Vortex through the front. Can they collapse now? There's still one player around cell block. That's going to be Nolson, who's actually that purple X-ray you see inside. It's going to be Dave's job to try and hunt him down. Now the Epsilon Floods come forward. Everyone getting through. He's watching the backside. His teammates hitting the front. Good job by Epsilon so far. PD and crew, though, going back and forth. No one able to win this 3-on-3 yet. And there it is. Vortex, 2 kills. Dave with 1. Millenium, enjoy your spawn across the map.
Yep, it's going to be Vortex on a 2 streak with the ERAD. Just diving into that cell block, able to take control. Looks like Millenium going to opt to give up the last 20 seconds here and go over towards Grave. It's a lot of time to give up to Epsilon.
Epsilon will get the final 10 seconds here, and they're already set up very well for the next one. Millenium they just spawned a commissary 3 times in a row and having to run out.
You rotate all 4 of your players on Millenium against the 3 players of Epsilon. You know, the 1 player still taking time in cell blocking, you're still not able to win it.
Yep, those are the most frustrating spots, I'm sure, in this game. Hockey almost finishes a kill there. He ends up getting pushed, so PD with a nice 2-piece. Dave knows there's pressure flying forward, but look at this, just snapping back and forth. I think he gets assist on both kills there. Don't challenge that one. Maybe don't get that cheeky with the E-Rad at 100 meters, but it is going to be the K-Bar of Vortex backing him up. He's got the E-Rad to work with as well, and look how close he is to picking up these streaks.
He's going to use the Scarab, try and get players weak coming in from Cave, and hopefully just jump up, finish him with a few shots, but looks like Millenium's deciding if they want to hold this or if they want to rotate.
Millenium haven't even got close to stepping foot, except PD, I think, 1 time. Outside of that, they just got abused at Cemetery.
I mean, they gave up the last 20 or so seconds on Cell Block. Now they're going to give up the last 20 or so here on Grave.
Grave. Why do I keep calling Cemetery? Graveyard Silent.
They need to hold this here. Going over to Commissary, but you see they're just giving Epsilon a lot of space to just get inside the hard point. Vortex picks up 1. Still able to stay alive. Now he's working towards the bombardment. Just 1 kill away. I believe you have more players working towards streaks, as you see Dave on a 6 streak as well.
You got to think, if you beat E United like you did on this map, you can beat Millenium on this map, and right now they're showing why. You have 2 6 streaks currently out. Dave and Vortex, so close.
Well, this is what happens when you give up on 2 hard points the last 20 or 30 seconds, and then you don't win the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just not, they have not scored a point since the first hill. At the beginning of a cell block, they had a little bit of time, but I mean, really, it's been that first hard point since then. Now they're going to start to get some time, but still, I mean, just look at the score. It's Epsilon up, just about 90.
And you should see a streak come in, I assume. They've got some stuff to work with. Maybe they snook. Oh, never mind. There's 15 seconds left. That would be completely pointless. But you have a lot of streaks to work with for Dave and Vortex. Vortex can't win the gunfight in showers. We're now going to rotate out. We're back to mid-map. Dave's pocketed up in a corner here, just waiting to scout anyone coming from loading or coming from the former hardpoint. He gets the first kill, gets away with his life, bounces out. There's the second kill. He'll at least tack on an assist there.
45 seconds left on this center hardpoint. Epsilon. This will be a huge map win for them. Puts a ton of pressure on Luminosity going forward into that final match of the weekend. Vortex coming through the spiral stairs. A lot of kills going in favor of Epsilon. You see Hockey with a 2 streak, Dave with a 2 streak. These guys already have score streaks. They have control of cell block, which will pop up in 20 seconds. Epsilon has looked phenomenal in this map.
They really, really have. I mean, the last 2 times, at least we've seen them today, they've looked utterly brilliant. Millenium trying to fight, but I mean, they could play breakout hardpoint twice today, and a 100-point club, both of their competitors, one being a solid team from EU, one being one of the best from North America, certainly incredibly impressive. And that win, that breakout win versus United, I mean, if it comes down to a 1-map difference with Luminosity, which it very well could, I mean, getting a big win like that could be the difference. I mean, you expect them to maybe be able to take a search and destroy, but I know that's one of United's worst maps, but I did not expect them to hammer them in the way in which they did.
Neither did I, and I mean, we were talking a little bit about during the break. I mean, imagine in a world where Epsilon actually 3-0s a United earlier in the day. I mean,
wait, hold on, I'm sorry. What did Vortex? Vortex just killed one, then killed himself, and killed a teammate. Not that it matters exactly when you're up 100 points, but that was a bit awkward.
It was an aggressive use of the missile.
Yes, it was.
It was a very aggressive missile use there.
Okay, well, we're going to rotate out. This is the rotation last time where Marky B and the guys on Millenium just were absolutely battered. And they were set up early, remember? And it was a 3v4 type situation, which we're going to be looking at again. Here it goes again. Josh and Dave find the opening kills. Now, all of a sudden, a 4v3 for Millenium turns into a 3v2 for Vortex and company. PD, the last man up. PD, sorry, you're gone as well. And yet again, here we go. Epsilon takes easy control.
I mean, just look at the slaying. I mean, Moose now gets his 10th kill. PD with 11. Nolson 6 kills. Marky B 7. Not going to be able to hang in the respawn game modes with games like that.
Oh no, this one, I actually can't wait to see the statistic, like the box score, what it actually was in Graveyard, because I think that it's going to be something to 0.
It very well could be.
If they hold the final 30 seconds.
I mean, every time that Millenium has gone over to Graveyard, they've rotated early and they haven't gotten any time there.
Yeah.
Now it looks like they're going to have to back up. That would much different position, right? I mean, they can't just put people on it because they know the streaks on the side of Epsilon, just bomb them out of there.
They just broke through. So now they're able to do it with 10 seconds left, but I believe those were their first points in Graveyard. But God, we're looking at what could be a very, very similar scoreline to the Epsilon United game.
Marky trying to get in towards the hard point. Josh able to take him out. Here comes the Trinity Rocket from Dave, able to get one. Vortex just watching this back hallway, going to call it out. That's one player's hit the wall run, able to win one gunfight. Almost takes out Moose there. Josh there to trade it out. A 2 streak for Josh. 10 seconds left for Epsilon to take this map.
Josh trying to finish it off. 3 seconds. That will do it. Epsilon takes it 3-1. And remember, nothing but pride on the line for Millenium, but for Epsilon, that 3-1 victory puts them in an okay spot. I mean, if they would have got the 3-0, I would have said a very good spot. Right now, it's like it almost feels like it's a 50-50.
Gives them a chance. Gives them a chance.
LG controlled their own destinies. They're able to win the next series. I'm sure the desk will be breaking it down a little bit more for you throughout the end of this series and the beginning of the next with all the scenarios for it. But shout out to Epsilon, man. They get it done. They've looked very, very good today. They have made this group so interesting. You know, at one point it looked like United and Luminosity were going to run away with it.
Yeah.
Epsilon said, hold your horses, man. We're still here to fight.
Yeah, and a tough weekend for Millenium. That'll be their last match of the weekend. Obviously, you know, they come here, don't accomplish what they set out to do. They'll put a lot of time in, just not enough.
All right, well, on the stage, it is the newcomer to Epsilon. It's Josh with Jack.
He might be the newcomer on Epsilon, but this guy's been around a competitive Call of Duty forever, it seems. Josh, one of the winningest European Call of Duty players of all time. First off, though, you're a little bit stressed. Even after that series victory, you've now got to wait and see the outcome of the upcoming Luminosity Gaming versus United match. But first, you immediately came up to me and said that Uplink might be the decider. What was not working for you guys in that map? How were Millenium able to take it?
I mean, they just played it really well, to be honest. Yeah, like, Uplink's been their strongest game mode the whole event, and they're like really good at precinct. They played really well, taking it gas and slowed us down on the good side, and then they just got Moose with camo and then the streaks and took over from there.
Well, they most certainly did, and that was the one map you dropped in that series to close it out with the 100-point club and the Hardpoint, sorry. But now moving forward, you're still stressed about this final match because we all know the crazy tiebreaker scenarios coming into things. What do you do now as a team? You've got to go watch. What is your mindset at the moment?
I mean, when we was watching Millenium LG game, it was so intense, so I can't only imagine what this is going to be like. Can't do nothing really, it's out of our hands now. Just got to hope that United turn up.
Absolutely, and I was actually watching with the boys of Luminosity and United up there. Couldn't believe what they were seeing in that series on the edge of their seats with how it would all play out. Looking back on things, you guys are now done playing this weekend. No matter what, you put on a great showing here. What does Epsilon need to work on, though, moving forward, whether it's for the stage playoffs or at Anaheim?
I mean, probably our main problem is just starting off slow in our communication being awful. Like, it happens a lot. Like, we just, like, once we start losing, our communication just drops and, like, the little things don't get said, which are important, and then we just don't break kills, etc.
Well, Josh, you thought playing was stressful. You probably got some more intense parts this weekend coming up for you. That's it for this series on the main stage, though. Puckett, take it away.
Thank you so much, Courage. So we are down to just one match, and everyone's hopes and dreams. Well, basically, you're relying on how E-United is going to play in this final match. Before we get to E-United going up against Luminosity, though, we should kind of touch on the communication problems that Epsilon had throughout the tournament. TP, you were shaking your head, just nodding along as Josh was saying, our problem is sometimes our comms go silent. How do you avoid that as a player?
It's tough to avoid. It really depends on the personalities of the individual player, to be honest. That listening is what sort of told that story for me on that retaliation in specific. I think Josh can't be the only one on that team that takes over in that sort of situation. You need all 4 players to be willing to make a call in a clutch scenario. And when things aren't going your way, that's the easy way out, sort of, to get quiet, to not really want to give that input. And that's sort of a problem and probably holds a lot of teams back from being better than they probably could be.
And if you look at Epsilon, you see just the potential from this squad. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from game number 1. Chance, you said that the hard points were pretty brutal to watch for you. Why was it so difficult? What was going wrong here for Millenium? What was going well for Epsilon?
Well, in fairness to Millenium on the first one, it was a lot closer than that breakout ended up turning out to be. But Epsilon, they just brought it all. I mean, Dave has been playing pretty well since the end of yesterday on Saturday. But even when you have a guy like Hockey who's nearly triple negative, the rest of the team is still able able to pick them up on top of that. So just really good playing from both the squads. If you look at the total kill-death ratios of both teams, the Slaying came out completely even. So Nolson drops 40, but the rest of Millenium was way off the charts below that. Meanwhile, 3 players on Epsilon all having solid, consistent games, which was able to make up for Hockey's kind of slight lack of performance.
Felony, what were your big takeaways as we saw it come down to the wire? It was about a 15-point difference. At the very end, they were able to finish with 250. Josh staying alive on that final hard point.
This is the 3rd time we have seen Epsilon play throwback hardpoint over the weekend. The first 2 times, they made a really bad mistake of not rotating to this baseball hill. And off rotation, we're all looking at the mini-map, and we saw Josh be the first guy to rotate all the way to the back of this hill with kinetic, and he catches those first initial kills off rotation, and then that's the hill that ends up winning them the game.
And you can see just how big of an impact Barn was throughout this whole game. 102 to 44, that's where Epsilon really made most of their lead, but Millenium kept kind of toe-in-toe with them the entire way through it, Deep.
Yeah, it's very impressive holds from Epsilon. The casters sort of touched on it on that last barn hill. Nolson, yes, he drops 40 in this one, but we have to talk about the situation where he is playing for those streaks in sort of that tense moment. Maybe if you took a gunfight a little bit earlier on, maybe baited for his teammate, it's just so tough to do. You don't know if those streaks could lead on over towards baseball and really win you the game, or if you should just play fast and sort of normal to try and, you know, slide in and be that first confrontation into barn. So it's really a 50-50 call. He was playing those streaks. He ended up not getting them, which is a tough scenario for them, but overall, good hold at barn from Epsilon.
Go ahead, Chance.
And then even previously for Millenium, streaks that they had earned in the past, when they got to that bike path hill, when it's a neck-and-neck game, they're down by 20 points, before that baseball field comes in, they use the kinetic. They burn some streaks, and all they get out of it is 2 deaths on their own team. There's a team kill with the Trinity Rockets, and the kinetic only nets them 1 kill. And then they spent the Centurion as well. So they used 2 payloads and the streaks on a hill that's super contest heavy. They get absolutely nothing out of it. And then, of course, on the flip side of things, Josh had that camo in the back pocket for the most important hill of the game, that final one on baseball, and he went off with it.
He went clutch, and they take game number 1. But you saw the strength from Millenium in that first one. I know a lot of Epsilon fans probably got a little bit nervous coming into the search and destroy. At the end of it, though, it's Epsilon coming out on top. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here as we talk about this one, Felony. You're our S&D expert up here on the analyst desk. What did you see from both teams on this new map breakout?
Epsilon, they played it the same way they did last time. They went straight to B a lot of their rounds. That was their preferred bomb site. We also saw them dabble around at A a little bit on their offenses. They planted A a few times, which is new. That's something that they're starting to venture to. But at the end of the day, they were just trading out first bloods very well, and they played their situations very well.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of things, Millenium, even when they were getting first bloods, they were throwing away the rounds. They would not group up properly. And so once you have that man advantage, the most important thing is just trade out kills after that. Because even if a player dies, as long as you're buddying up, you're going to be perfectly fine. But Epsilon was able to just consistently pick them apart. So if Millenium got the first blood, the round was interesting. If Epsilon got it, they completely steamrolled their opponent.
And Hawkeye really made up for his lack of a presence in that game number 1, showing up big with a 7-2 ratio. 6-1 rounds, though. This was a pretty big blowout in favor of Epsilon. Both of the European teams, though, seem to show that they need to improve in this game mode moving forward, especially if you're Epsilon, knowing that you're going to be playing it quite a bit if you make it into playoffs.
Yeah, especially the couple of mistakes from Millenium, just to touch on it, that they need to improve on moving forward, is Chance touched on it, sort of payload usage in those scenarios that you aren't really going to get much out of it. And the second thing I want to bring up is playing your life in certain situations in Search and Destroy. That couple of seconds that you can buy your teammates, whether it's getting a first blood, whether you're in a trade, you have to know when to hesitate and when to go, you know, all full out, full momentum, basically. They don't really know. The communication seems to be off for them at times when it gets to those, you know, tough situations in Search.
Now, I was sitting in the back with Merck, and we were watching the games with Saints. At the end of game 3, Saints was looking a little bit worried, leading up to that final moment, and then he came out with a big fist bump. He was cheering on Millenium the whole way. Luminosity, knowing that Millenium had to make it difficult for Epsilon, for Luminosity to really have a clear path into that second place. Millenium pulls it out big in game number 3. Felony, let's talk about this uplink. What were they doing well? How are they able to bounce back from back-to-back losses?
This is one of the matches that PD's really showed up in. He hasn't had the greatest weekend, and him and Moose together this map, they were just slaying. They had streaks. Moose got his camo early in the game. They did a really good job of wrapping the ball around the map and keeping control of it the whole map. It just, everything went well for Millenium this whole entire uplink.
You did see Vortex able to convert a dunk, so it brought it within 1 point going into the second half. Then, though, it was Millenium really taking just charge of the map. They were outslaying. You saw Marky B back in the triple kill mode, getting multi-kills. You just saw the whole team put on streaks, and they were able to blow out Epsilon inside number 2. TP, when you look at this map, we've seen different opportunities for teams. Sometimes you see 6 points on the more difficult side. This time around, it was the exact opposite.
Yeah, teams are becoming much more well-rounded on Precinct Uplink in general. But basically, you have to note, how often do you see 3 players drop over 30 in an uplink? It's not very often, so finally the players from Millenium stepped up, had a huge slaying performance. You can see right there. PD with a 1.8 KD, 4 scores for him as well. Sort of not really putting the team on his back, but that's the performance that they've needed from him. For a lot of maps, they weren't really getting it early, but in that one, played quite well.
Good stuff from Dave all the way through, but Epsilon doesn't get the 3-0 sweep they were hoping for. Now they're at the mercy of E United and how they'll play against Luminosity a little bit later on, but at least for Epsilon, they were able to blow out Millenium in the final game after dropping the uplink. They just destroyed the kill column. Felony, you were pointing at the numbers here. Who is the most impressive player from Epsilon? Because they all seem to be going off.
Towards the end of the game, Dave, but towards the beginning, like what Luminosity said, Vortex has a sub and he's going double positive in the first few hills. That's something that's really hard to do, and that's something very uncharacteristic. So him going double positive with a sub at the beginning of the game, that means he's winning all of his fights in the hill, in showers, keeping those vital control, like he's keeping vital control for his team, the whole map.
Epsilon puts Millenium in the 100-point club. That's twice we've seen 100-point clubs here on day number 3 on Breakout Hardpoint. As we take a look at the box score, you see Dave once again. 16 kills gives him a 3.2 KD. You talked about the streaks that he didn't even need to use. They had total control from start to finish. How do you hold your opponents just to 12 and 13 points on cell block, as well as Grave?
Basically just the snowball out of control. Didn't seem like Millenium really had anything left in the tank at that point, but overall the rotations and the slaying from Dave opening it up, I really think that ERAD, we've talked about it a lot this weekend, but having that lone SMG specifically for loading, showers, cell block, there's so many scenarios in which that guy can be the first wave of pressure, get there just a bit earlier in those race situations, because on rotation, on Breakout in specific, there's situations where you're spawning an equal distance apart. If you have that ERAD player that just gets that extra couple of feet of advantage in that foot race, he gets to a better spot and gets close quarters.
It's all going to come down to our final match. We hope you guys join us for that. And we want to give a shout out to everyone who has been playing along on MLG.TV with our Score Streak Challenge. Every map we ask you a question, and you guys have been providing some really good answers on day 1 and 2. Let's take a look at our first question here. How many players will finish with 30 or more kills in game number 1? Well, only 9% of you guys got this one today. 3 or more players dropping big numbers, both sides. Nolson with the 40 bomb, one of the more impressive notes there in game number 1. Don't think a lot of people saw this one being as high slaying as they maybe should have expected on Throwback.
Yeah, it is a throwback, so you do expect some higher kill numbers in general, but to say over 3, I definitely wouldn't have said that. I probably would have been in the 1, maybe 2 category. So the fact that, you know, some people got it right, but majority not so much.
Now, if you remember yesterday, the leaderboard was so tight. I feel like the answers in this series is what's going to separate our leaderboard for the weekend. Look at question number 2. You got single-digit correct answers for your first question. Same thing here for our second question. Only 3% of the people guessed it was going to go either 6 rounds or 7 rounds. The 6-1 blowout from Epsilon caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, that just means people were expecting a competitive game. But again, if you go into the mindset, there's one team that knows that without a doubt they've been relegated. Like, how much energy can you really bring forth in that degree? And then they've only had, I think, 4 map wins this entire tournament or weekend, and 3 of them were uplink. So S&D was definitely not where it was at for them.
And the majority of you guys were wrong for our third question as well. But this one you did a little bit better. About a third of you guys guessed the correct answer. It was 4 or less points. How many points will the winning team win by in a tight game number 3? A last minute kind of comeback from Epsilon. It looked like they may be able to steal the game, but Millenium holds on and is able to finish strong. So here is our scoreboard, our leaderboards. After 3 days of score streaks, it's Ali Hay at the very top, all alone. Yesterday, Obzit Heg He was in number 1, gets dropped down to 9 points. Gare Bear 203 jumping up our leaderboard as we have 10, 9, 8, and 7 in the top 10. You have one more match, one more chance to get your score streak points. Make sure you're watching on MLG.tv. Follow along all of the action. The biggest match of the day. Who is going to join United in the playoffs? Will Luminosity be able to force a Game 5 or even pull off the upset? Or is it going to be Epsilon from Europe slipping in to compete for the $500,000? You don't want to go anywhere.